Hey everybody, it's Eric from Picks and Bones. How are you tonight or today? Wherever you're listening, and whenever you're listening. So just wanted to give a few shout outs here going into things. The guy I'm interviewing in this episode is Kevin Daniel. Got a album that just dropped in September, so he's out there supporting it across the country right now, doing some big things. So you guys really take the time to get a listen to this. This guy's got a great voice, and he just kind of speaks to you. Even you never can go wrong when you get a horn section either. So also wanted to give a shout out to the Civilized Creatures Entertainment Network. This is the group of podcasters that I have the pleasure of working with, and these guys are amazing. Go out there and check out. You've got shows such as Married AF, What's in Your Hometown, The Untrained Eye, The Bear Cave, Drinks with Larry. Just go find us all there. We have Civilized Creatures on the Facebook page. Go look it up. Seriously, you're not going to be disappointed. Oh, and Cinemondo if you like cinema. So, now, without further ado, welcome to the show.
I'm seeing myself through you. It's about time I saw your shade of blue. I'm watching myself stumble to inside. I won't let go of you.
Welcome everybody to Picks and Bones. I'm your host Eric. Tonight we are sitting down having a conversation with Kevin Daniel. He is a Brooklyn, New York based singer-songwriter, Americana, rock and roll, roots, folk, you name it. The guy's got a hell of a set of pipes. And just so you know that he's got his southern roots, he is from North Carolina. So welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thank you so much. I always got to justify my southern roots. But I've only been in New York for 10 years, but that's a pretty long time in New York time.
It definitely is. Most people don't last that long.
Nope.
So you're almost, being able to call yourself a lifer.
Ooh, I don't know about that. If you're from New York, you don't think that anyone who is not originally from New York is a New Yorker. So I'll never be a New Yorker to a native New Yorker, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's the same thing as being a Southerner. Anybody that moved down here, you're not. I don't care how many years you've been here, you're not a Southerner.
Oh yeah,
it can be 20 or 30. It doesn't matter. 40, 50. If you were not born, if you're not born and bred, you're not from here. You're not a Southerner. Mm-hmm. So you just had a new album drop towards the end of last month. Things I don't see.
Yep.
I love the title track, by the way.
It's the things I don't see that hurt me the most. Oh, imagine sad endings I'll never behold. Dark things will happen, our memories unfold. Takes the time, the terror, the giving and the
So,
Thank you.
Why don't you kind of tell everybody a little bit about the new album and where they can find it to begin with?
Yeah, man. Well, you can find it everywhere you stream music. If you want to buy a copy of it, you can go to my website, thekevindaniel.com, a physical copy. I sell vinyl on there as well. So right now it's available for streaming in CD and on 12-inch vinyl. Because vinyl is back.
It definitely is.
Vinyl is back. I really actually don't sell too much vinyl online, but it is my most popular live show merchandise product.
That I don't doubt, because I mean everybody has gotten back into vinyl because people have already gotten tired of that perfect sound, that perfectly engineered sound. They want real.
Yeah, I agree. So the album Things I Don't See, it's my first full-length record, 11 songs. I did 3 of those songs up at Old Soul Studio with Kenny Siegel. That's in Catskill, New York. Kenny's got a cool thing going on up there. He has an entire 3-story house that he has turned into a recording studio. And he utilizes the whole house. There are amps and wires everywhere. And tons of guitars. I stayed there for a few nights, and it was like being in like a dream world. It was pretty crazy.
That sounds really great, actually.
Yeah, so he produced Langhorne Slim. He's worked with Rat-a-Tat. He's worked with a bunch of different kind of artists, and he's just really good. I basically started working with Kenny because I'm a big Langhorne fan, and I just hit him up, and I was like, I like you. I've got some music. Can we work together? And he said, send me your stuff, and I sent him a bunch of stuff, and he chose 3 songs. So I guess he liked 3 of them, and we worked on them together.
Awesome.
And then the rest of those tunes were recorded down in Brooklyn, in a place called DeGraw Sound, which was where I recorded my first 2 EPs. And I got down to work with my friend Ben Rice, who owns that studio, with a couple of his friends, and he helped produce this album again as well. And he's the bomb, and Ben knows so many people that we just had tons of people coming through the studio. Like, we had a 4-piece string quartet come in for 22. We had accordions, trombones, trumpets, a few different guitar players, a couple different keys players, pedal steel guy come through. And Ben is just so connected that it really makes it easy to sort of get any sound you want on your album.
And see, that's great. And I know one of the others that really were one of the first songs that really struck me was City That Saves.
I'm writing love songs, the city that saves. Hallelujah till she washes away. She gave me power in my darkest hours, and she holds me gently when I enter my grave. I came with loving girls in my eyes, hypnotized, alone with never this hard to describe. In the lights, writing love songs, the city that saves. Hallelujah.
I love that song.
Great song. I mean,
thanks, man. I sort of told myself that I wouldn't really write a song about New York City, but that song is about New York, and it's sort of just about, I think every New Yorker, well, again, I'm not a New Yorker, but everyone that lives in New York can say that it's a love-hate relationship, and you've got some serious ups and downs when you're living here, and it's sort of just about that ride a little bit.
I get that. So I know you said this was your first, full length album and everything. When you're actually sitting down doing your songwriting, where do you draw your inspiration from?
I mean, a lot of it has to do with who I'm listening to in like the last probably year or so when I'm songwriting. I think musicians are pretty heavily influenced by the people that they're listening to. I've been listening to a lot of not just like modern day Americana, like Jason Isbell and, Langhorne Slim, I guess is a good example, but also a lot of like traditional, old timey and bluegrass. So a lot of Hank Williams, a lot of like Earl Scruggs, Flatt and Scruggs, and, just stuff that I may not have necessarily grown up on, but that I started really getting into. I played in a bluegrass band for a few years in New York, and that really tipped me off to like, I guess, the various kinds of bluegrass and old-timey and folk music. And then that sort of got me looking more into like country music and then outlaw country and then sort of Americana. and now here I am. But honestly, it's just like also anything you just sort of like feel you've had in your life. I played jazz and blues my whole life, so I feel like that's where a lot of the horn stuff comes from.
which I dig, by the way.
Gotta have the horns, man. Look, you can't go wrong with a horn section.
You really can't. You really can't. And, you know, I almost chuckled when you said two things I don't think I've ever heard put together in my life is New York and bluegrass.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a thriving bluegrass scene in New York. Shout out to Sonny's, which is a bluegrass bar down in Red Hook. Shout out to Michael Daves, who is my guitar teacher and also one of the most preeminent bluegrass guitar players in the world. Chris Thiele doesn't live here anymore, but he used to.
Yeah.
He's one of the best so I think he plays mandolin, actually. Plays a lot of stuff. One of the best bluegrass players in the world. He's got his own show on NPR. I mean, it's New York, you know, this is a working town for musicians. So there are a lot of bluegrass players here. Are they a dime a dozen in Nashville? Absolutely. Are they sort of hard? Is it hard to find a fiddle player in New York? It's pretty hard.
Okay.
Well, I
mean, yeah, I'm sure you could probably find some. Whether they're up to snuff or not is a different story.
I mean, like a true fiddle player, not like a violin player who went to Juilliard who could fake it. Like a true fiddle player.
Yeah, I could give you two right now within a stone's throw of me.
Yeah,
and they're both phenomenal. But
right when you find them, they're there, but they're hard.
Well, and I mean, you know, I know you've been out of this area for a while, but I mean, you know, the bluegrass is making a comeback, and I'm actually working on a side project with a guy that we're going to be doing a video and audio series, basically featuring Appalachian music with musicians that they're not going to be going and getting heard playing in a bar or anything like that. These are the guys that they're phenomenal musicians, but they don't really have an outlet. So we're kind of working on a little side project for that we're really excited about it because it's actually kind of, you know, letting people see the true roots of where we're at. Cause I mean, I know Appalachian is the buzzword of the week or the year, but
that sounds great.
Yeah. It's always a good experience. And I mean, but who were your influences coming up as a musician?
You know, growing up, it's always the joke is that I didn't really have that many. People in my family didn't like listen to great music. Tom Petty was a big influence of mine growing up. I did listen to a lot of Tom Petty, but I also listened to a lot of like Meatloaf and a lot of like Hank Williams Jr., not the original Hank Williams. Yeah. And I didn't really like get a lot. My grandmother was like old school, lived in Atlantic City. She introduced me to jazz and sort of like ragtime music, and I actually ended up playing saxophone for most of my life. I played saxophone when I was about 7 to about like 22 or 23.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I still play sometimes at my shows, but I do need to kind of pick it back up again. But it wasn't really, honestly, the stuff that influences me now, even though I was surrounded by bluegrass and Southern music growing up in North Carolina, I feel like it really started when I started actively playing in a bluegrass band. I guess I started playing bluegrass at the end of my college year, but that was just like me and my friends got drunk every day and played bluegrass, and maybe we had 2 or 3 shows.
Yeah.
But like my first time like playing with a real bluegrass band was in New York. Funny enough, I had to move to New York to play in a bluegrass band. And then I just, you know, played with some really smart guys who really made me not just learn the music, but look at the story behind the music and where is this song from and who originally played it and who originally wrote it and who did all the covers and look at the history of bluegrass and not just learn the song and leave it. And I think that's where it kind of all started.
Yeah, I like that. And going to the saxophone, I've got one of my middle son is actually a saxophonist going to music school right now. So
oh, nice.
He loves anything with a sax in it. We get messages all the time. Hey, did you check out this? You got to watch this. This guy playing sax is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, got to keep the horns in, man.
Well, and and even like you said, bringing in the ragtime and everything, that's some of the original Americana, because
Yeah, exactly.
there's no original American music other than what's been brought over and then twisted, and hey, I'm going to pick these parts from here and here, and let's see how this works together, kind of thing.
Well, that's why Americana is kind of a catch-all phrase right now for pretty much anything.
Well, and I think a lot of it has to do with people don't want to get pigeonholed into, oh, you're a country artist,
Right. Yeah.
so then you've carried that stigmatism around with you, or oh, you're an outlaw. Well, most people that do outlaw country are like, you're damn right, I'm an outlaw. So I've got friends that are in that would gladly tell you, I'm not really country, I do outlaw country. There's a difference.
I couldn't even say that I do outlaw country. I just feel like Americana is just like what I fall into, because it just depends on where I am, man. Like when I go down to Texas at the end of this month, they're not going to be telling me I play country music. They're not going to say that. But when I like play up here, people are like, "Oh, you got a country thing going on." I'm like, yeah, I guess so.
Well, if you go into Texas, you're either red dirt or you're not. And and they're red dirt. They're red dirt. They can appreciate other stuff, but they're red dirt at the end of the day. So, so you said saxophone was the first thing you learned how to play. What instruments do you play? I know you play guitar, obviously.
Play guitar. Always trying to get better at that. Thank you, Michael Daves, for the lessons. Play saxophone. Play a couple different saxophones. Play alto and tenor. Play piano. Played a fair amount of drums in my life. I have a drum kit that I play a lot. Got a banjo that I'm looking at right now.
Right on.
Oh, man. I played in a bagpipes band in high school for 2 years. Yeah.
Were you one of the drummers?
No, man. I played bagpipes.
Really?
That's bagpipes,
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. The world needs more bagpipes.
I was telling somebody the story the other day of when I played in the Christmas parade at the school, or in the town near my boarding school, and it was like 2 degrees outside, and I was wearing a kilt playing bagpipes. My reed was like frozen to my lips.
That probably wasn't the only thing frozen if you were marching out there in a kilt doing that.
It was pretty cold.
No doubt. Oh man. So what other kind of, I know you said that you listen to Langhorne and things like that. Who else are you listening to right now?
I'm always listening to Jason Isbell's new stuff and listening to the new Sturgill album that just came out.
Okay, let's talk about that one. If you don't,
I like it. Obviously, it's very different.
Yes.
I think I have a respect for Sturgill for doing whatever he wants to do.
Yep.
Because he very well could have just kept making stuff that was making money and could have gotten really rich off of it. And I'm sure he's doing fine. But I just respect him for doing whatever he wants to do. And if he wants to make funky music like this, then I'll listen to it, to be quite honest.
I listened to it when it first came out, the day it came out. And I'm like, okay, well, I know they had done the pre-release of the title track. And then, I listened to it, and then I sat down when the actual anime came out on Netflix.
I have not. Yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
It is, how do I explain this? It's kind of an amalgamation if Pink Floyd met some Japanese anime psychobilly artist.
Nice. That sounds cool.
I dig it. I don't think everybody else does. I've got a couple of friends that are like, how can you like that? That's so twisted and just weird. I'm like, music is twisted and weird.
Yeah. I like weird anime. Like, I've always been into, like, super weird niche anime. So I do feel like I'd be into this.
You need to check it out. Maybe one of these while you're on get caught on a flight or anything or a long trip. Download it and watch it while you're there.
Yeah. I'm going to LA tomorrow. I should do it. I got a 5-hour flight.
Hey, that'll burn up about an hour of your flight. And you'll be like, okay, yeah, I kind of see where he was going with this one.
All
okay,
right.
so we talked Sturgill because, anytime anybody wants to talk old school, or I know he's got that old school sound, and I was not a fan of the last album he did with In Bloom.
Yeah, it was okay.
I mean, it was all right. His first one,
Yeah,
brilliant.
I mean, it was good. Yeah, I think it's just like the first one was so different. Ooh, thumbs happened. The first one was so different that I think people were sort of like, it was a shock factor. It's hard to always follow up that first album. I respect everything he's done. I liked it. I mean, I've been listening to him. I've been listening to, do you know Billy Strings? Do you listen to Billy Strings at all?
Yep, he does.
Billy Strings has been rocking some stuff. JD McPherson. I always listen to JD McPherson. I think he's great. You know him?
No, I don't.
Check him out, man. He's out of Tulsa. Actually just played a music festival with a friend of his. And his name is Travis Linville. Travis Linville is another great guitar player out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And he's great, man. It's just good rockabilly stuff. But, I also listen to like tons of hip hop. I listen to tons. This is my most embarrassing thing, but I listen to tons of like musicals. Like I grew up playing classical music for the most part, classical saxophone and orchestra and symphony and stuff. And then I started playing jazz and blues in college and high school. And that's really all I would do now. But I grew up I also grew up like singing in musicals and stuff. So for me, I have a real love of like musical theater. And being in New York, we get to see these shows all the time. So I'm always listening to musical theater.
Yeah, I grew up in a household that my mother was a classically trained pianist, and she always loved. So I mean, if you look at my playlist that I have, it's going to go the gambit. I mean, you'll have some death metal, you're going to have some old school country. A lot of the folks that I interview on here, I listen to all the time too. But then, you're going to find like, Beethoven's Concerto No. 3 for three violins. So, and
I definitely listen. Yeah, my playlist is all over the place. I also, I sing in this wedding band, so I listen to like tons of. I just listen to these playlists over and over and over because I want to like really soak the songs in. Every classic wedding band song is on my playlist for that.
That is awesome. I don't think I've ever truly met a wedding singer. I mean, I've had to sing at a few weddings, but yeah, that's awesome.
It's pretty hilarious, man. It's fun. Like, first off, it pays really well. Second off, like, it's just fun. It's basically like I view it as live karaoke. It's all songs that everybody knows. Every time I play with them, the band is like perfect. They're just amazing because they're all like professional players. I mean, you have to be talented to get into this company. Like, you can't suck. So all the musicians are really, really good. All the singers are really, really good. We're at a wedding. Everyone's there to have a good time. Everyone's dancing. Like, we're getting drunk. Like, it's a good time. It's fun. And I get paid for it.
Okay. What's your most requested wedding song?
Oh, God. People always want to hear Shout by the Isley Brothers.
Okay.
Make me want to shout. Throw your hands up and shout. People really want to hear, what is it, Love Shack? I played a wedding the other night. And some drunk guy was yelling Love Shack in my face for about an hour and a half. And I finally had to be like, sorry, man, we don't know Love Shack.
All right, what's your most dreaded one to have to people to have on their requests?
No offense to Old Crow Medicine Show or what's his guy, Darius Rucker, but Wagon Wheel, obviously.
Yes. Oh, we had a discussion about that the other night because somebody said, it's okay. You don't have to be in a band that does covers and feel like you ever have to do anything by Marshall Tucker or and I said, well, you forgot, or Can't You See by Marshall Tucker, because it's like every Southern cover band feels like they have to do that or a Leonard Skinner song. And I said, you guys are missing the biggest elephant in the room. I said, stop playing Wagon Wheel. Just stop already. Let the song go back to when it was cool, when Old Crow first did it,
right?
Which it was Dylan wrote the song, so
yeah, man, it's beat to death.
Oh man,
it's also so we give the couples they get 3 songs that they can like 100% be like, we want these songs in there. And then everything else, they're like, and also songs like this, and then we get to choose the songs. Wagon Wheel is almost always in one of those 3 songs that they have to hear.
Oh.
Yeah.
And and I can just imagine all you guys up on stage and every one of you, it's like as soon as you start playing, it's like fingernails down a chalkboard because you're like, not this damn thing again.
Honestly, we really enjoy it. Like people probably think that like after a while you sort of get bored playing the stuff over and over again, but like it's fun. Usually you're playing with a different band every time you play.
Okay.
And you just playing with new people. It's like a jam session that you're getting paid for, and you get to eat good food, and you get hit on by pretty women, and you get to eat or drink free booze. It's a good time.
I mean, you just checked off the 3 reasons why guys get into music anyway. Women, booze, and free food.
And you're on a stage, so you don't actually have to talk to anyone because you have like a big array of microphones in between you and the crowd. So you really don't have to interact, which is the best part.
Hell yeah, I like
you're protected.
That. You have your own bubble.
Exactly.
So are you already working on some new music? Or are you planning on working on some while you're on tour?
Man, I got a lot of stuff that's like half written that could definitely be turned into stuff, but like I'm getting the bug. Like I haven't written new music in a long time because I worked on all these tunes, and then we worked on getting the record finished, and then I've just been doing so much touring and so much promotion and getting ready for the release, and then it's released, and now I'm doing a bunch of stuff like this and doing a lot of touring, and it's like I haven't really had much. I just feel like any minute I spend that's not on promoting this album right now is like a minute wasted. So I haven't really written it all, but like I need to, because I can feel when I'm like need to do some writing, and I've been feeling it for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, and you've got to feed the muse when the muse wants to speak.
I think this is a great album. I think it's my best one yet. I think almost every song on here is better than anything I've ever done before. But I already feel like I could make a better album.
See, that's good. That's a good thing.
I'm like, but it's just like it's such a daunting task to like do it all. So I'm sort of like, you know what? You don't have to get back into making a new album. Why don't you just start writing a couple songs and see what happens? Well,
there you go. Now, do you do any covers when you're doing your live shows?
Yeah, I do. I always do a couple of covers. I love doing covers.
Which ones do you usually do? And how do you make them yours?
What have we been doing lately? We have been doing The Waiting by Tom Petty for a long time. We should probably stop doing it. Yeah, that's a great song. And we make it ours is we definitely make it a little bit quicker. We do a little bit more rocky. It's definitely more distorted. We also end it differently. We don't end it like the record. We do I'm on Fire, Bruce Springsteen. It's a great cover. Everyone really loves that one. And that song we do sort of quick and bluegrassy. Mm-hmm. So sort of add like a country vibe to it. What's another cover that we do? Oh, man. Oh, we do Son of a Preacher Man.
Okay.
And that one's fun. I would just do that one because it's fun. We don't really even change it that much.
I mean, it's a great song, and, can you ever really go too wrong doing anything by Tom Petty?
Yeah, I know. There's so many. We also used to do Learning to Fly, and we're basically turning into a Tom Petty cover band. So, not that I would hate that, because I love Tom Petty. He's in my top 3. But, yeah, you just can't do Petty all the time. I think I've been wanting, so it's funny that you said Skinner. We just had my album release at the Cutting Room in New York City a few weeks ago, and one of the covers we did was Give Me 3 Steps by Leonard Skinner.
Awesome. I mean, it's Skinner. Skinner's going to play anywhere.
Yeah, but like, dude, honestly, half the people didn't know the song. It's not necessarily a deep cut for Skinner, but it is not like one of their most popular songs.
No, it's not. No, not really. But I mean, anybody in the South's going to be, oh yeah, I know that one.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And I know you were talking about, have you listened to Mike and the Moonpies much?
I just found out about them last year at Americana Fest. And now, ever since I found out about them, I see them everywhere.
They're great, but they've got a cover song. Do you remember Fastball's the Way?
Yeah.
They
I
do
can
it
see the road that they walk on is paved in gold. That song.
exact.
Yeah.
They do a cover of that, and I was just going through because one of my buddies has Spotify put a whole radio station by him, and that was one of the songs they put into the rotation. I'm like, okay, this is odd. Haven't heard this one. I've always liked that song. I mean, because it's just so weird. But I mean, because
It is a weird song.
and the video was always weird. But back
Yeah.
then, nobody gave a damn. I mean, everybody was, drinking and having a good time, and being extracurricular. But I mean, I like unique covers that are unexpected.
I try to do weird covers if we can, but sometimes it's nice to just bust out one that everyone knows.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you
Like
can't-
sometimes, like you'll just be playing like a 3-hour set at a brewery, and you're like, you know what? We're just gonna play "I Will Survive" right now, and just like get people up, get people dancing.
hey, can you really go wrong with that? I guess the only
Definitely not.
unless you could bust out "It's Raining Men" and probably get the same reaction. Really, people wouldn't
that'd
give a
be good.
damn.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we're kind of at the point where, and I know you've listened to the show before, so we're going to jump into the bare bones.
Okay.
There's I've kind of changed a few of the questions around a little bit to make it a little more interesting. Several of these are, if you could sit down with somebody living or dead. So the first one's going to be, if you could sit down with somebody living or dead and have dinner with them, who would it be and why?
If I could have dinner with anybody living or dead, I'm gonna do the cop out move, and I'm gonna choose someone in my family who passed away. I lost my mom and my stepdad in a plane crash like 7 years ago,
Okay.
and it was very sudden and it came out of nowhere. And now that I'm 6 to 7 years older, there are just so many things that I would like to know about my mom's life that I wasn't really quite mature enough to ask. And there's so many things that I'd love advice on that, to be honest, if I had to have dinner with anyone tonight, I'd probably ask to have dinner with my mom. If my parents were still alive, I'd probably want to have dinner with Elvis.
Well, I love the fact that you went to your mom. That's awesome. That really is. Okay, what is your
I feel like I just got a lot of questions.
what is your spirit animal and why?
My spirit animal is 100% a dog. I love dogs. I've always loved dogs. I volunteered at a dog shelter since I was like 7 or 8 years old. I have 2 rescue dogs right now. They live with me in my Brooklyn apartment against all odds, and against all common sense. And I think they just have, they're not my spirit animal in the sense that we are alike. They are what I strive to be. Like, they just love, they're sweet. They just have support for you. And they're just good natured beings. Even the bad ones are good at heart. And I guess I sort of strive to have the same sort of happiness and innocence that a dog does.
And dogs are always happy to see you.
Hell yeah, man. Even if you've been gone for 8 minutes.
Yeah, I will literally walk outside and I'll come back in and my dog's like, "Where have you been? You have been gone forever."
Yeah. They just always make me happy. I'm so much more mentally stable since I got dogs.
See, that's a good thing. I work at a zoo as my day job, so I'm around
awesome.
I'm around kind of animals all day long. So I was actually hanging out with a big old giraffe today. So, and I would have to probably say giraffe would be my spirit animal, just because I don't know, I get them and they get me. It's weird, and
nice.
We never even have to. There's really not any way to put a finger on that one. So I know, call me a weirdo.
I gotcha. No, man. If you feel it, you feel it.
What is your all-time favorite book?
That's a good question. I would say, if I had to just answer off the top of my head, probably The Giver, which is sort of a cop-out answer as well. It's kind of a book that every kid is made to read when they're in school, but I don't know, something about it just sort of changed the way that I thought about the world. It really made me see things a little bit differently at a very, very young age. And Whenever anybody asks me that question, it's the first thing that pops into my head. The movie was absolutely terrible.
Exactly.
It was so bad. But the book, I think, for like a young kid who can really understand it, it's pretty moving.
Well, if you go back and read it at an older age, once you get a little bit older, you actually pick up on so much more.
Yeah, I definitely read it a few times as an adult too, and it stands the test of time.
Yeah, and it kind of tells you, it kind of gives you some answers and guidance that you wouldn't have necessarily truly understood. You had to have a certain maturity level.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, what was the first record you ever bought or picked out for yourself?
I think the first record I ever bought for myself was Dave Matthews Band Remember Two Things. The first record I ever received was No Doubt Tragic Kingdom, and I won it in a scavenger hunt.
But it's a great album.
I still listen to it. It's still one of my favorite records.
Same. What was the first concert you ever went to?
Unfortunately, it was a Jimmy Buffett concert. Me and my parents and my brother and sister were going on a 7-day sailing trip in the Bahamas. My stepdad and my mom were sailors, and they used to race sailboats in eastern North Carolina. So sometimes they would rent big, huge sailboats, and we would sail them around the islands, and it would just be us, no captain, just my stepdad, the captain. And on our first time doing this, we went to Raleigh, which is where we were going to fly out of.
Mm-hmm.
And the night before our flight left, we saw a Jimmy Buffett concert. And I learned about parrot heads.
Yeah, everybody has that tragic first concert that their parents. Listen, yours could have been worse. Mine was the Village People.
It could have been worse. I feel like the Village People is a little bit more iconic than Jimmy Buffett, you know?
Yeah, it depends on if you're a parrot head or not.
Yeah, I guess so.
But
He's
then,
just so bad.
Yeah, but of some of the great ones, my parents did drag me to see Chicago and the Beach Boys.
Right.
So,
that's awesome.
3 classics. You really, and Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton.
Nice.
So,
that's amazing.
You really can't complain about, seeing some, greats in your life.
Right.
All right. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Unfortunately, Star Trek. I know that's not the most popular one. And I do see Darth Vader in behind you in this video. Yeah. I've just always, I love Star Wars, but Star Trek it's my thing. I'm actually currently rewatching the entire series of Next Generation.
I got nothing against Star Trek. I've watched just about everything myself. So, but I've always been a Star Wars guy. Okay.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
Exactly. It's kind of like, your spirit animal. You know what it is, and it just is what it is. Do you have a life philosophy or a personal mantra?
I try to live by the mantra of to live in the moment and appreciate what's happening now, and try not to live too much in the past or think too much about the future, and really just know that like what you are doing in that moment, that is life. Life is not what's going on in your head. It's not predictions about the future. It's not laments about the past. It's what you're doing right now. That's what I try to live my life like. It's hard.
I like it though. Okay, one song, doesn't matter how many times you've heard it. The volume goes up and it's just your jam.
Oh, God, this is going to be a terrible answer. But after my mom passed away, I listened to Fun, their album Some Nights, probably on repeat for about 7 months. Okay. And the title track is Some Nights, and I just listened to that song so much that anytime it comes on, I just blast it up. That guy just has such an incredible voice. It's like a pop anthem and has nothing to do with any of the kind of music that I play, but it's so good. I can't help it.
Okay. Hey, fair enough. Okay. A person, living or dead, that you would love to be able to take the stage with?
Probably Tom Petty. Yeah. Also Jason Isbell. He's alive. Just FYI.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very much so. And his music has changed so much since he got clean.
Yeah, I know, in a good way. Usually it's the opposite, but
Yeah.
his music is. He's just an incredible songwriter, man. He's just such a great songwriter. He's right up there with Petty, in my opinion.
Okay. Who besides yourself should people be going out and listening to right now?
Tyler Childers. He's somebody that a lot of people don't know, but he's getting really, really popular.
He's incredible.
People are loving him. Coulter Wall.
Mm-hmm.
He's making the rounds right now as well. He's on tour. Yeah, those are my two dudes right now. And I don't know. I mean, people know who Maren Morris is, but if you're not listening to Maren Morris and you're not listening to her new albums and her old stuff, then you should check her out.
All right. Tell everybody where they can, find your music, what your social medias are, so we can get more people following you and keeping up with you as far as the tour goes. You get out to where some of these folks may be able to find you. Hey, that's a great thing. For sure.
Everybody can find all my stuff at thekevindaniel.com. It's THE, KevinDaniel.com. And then all my socials are just whatever that social is, / the Kevin Daniel. So Instagram.com / the Kevin Daniel, Twitter, Facebook.com / the Kevin Daniel. Find all my stuff online on Spotify and Amazon Music and pretty much anywhere you stream music. And I also have like tons of music videos, which I'm really proud of and are doing really well. And that's all on YouTube. You can find that link from my main website or just go to youtube.com / Kevin Daniel Music.
Awesome. Got any shout outs?
Yeah. Shout out to my girlfriend who's in the other room keeping my dogs quiet for this interview right now because they have been freaking out for the last 2 hours. And I don't know what she's doing right now, but it's working.
Benadryl.
Yeah. I'm going to go in. They're just going to be drugged and passed out on the ground.
Or she is. Either way. All right.
Be gone. I don't know.
They may have taken off. I know my son's been keeping our dog at bay and the cats. So I'm like, normally I have one of them trying to come climbing around, meowing in the background. Right. So
well, we made it.
We did. Kevin, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Definitely good luck with this whole tour.
Thanks, man.
Kick ass. I'm telling some folks, I've kind of looked ahead at where you're going to be playing, and I've told some folks in a few areas, I'm like, listen, go check this guy out. I promise you're going to thank me later.
Awesome, man. I'm excited to hit the road. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
All right, man. Listen, have a great night. Have a safe tour. And
thanks so much.
Hey, reach out next time you got another album coming out. Let's talk about it and get it out there for everybody.
Yeah, man. We'll do it again sometime.
All right. Thanks so much. And folks, thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out with us. And we will catch you next week.